Paws and claws are commonly injured in all species. Dogs, the trauma will happen when they're out on a walk. Cats, the trauma normally happens through fighting, as a lot of injuries happen on cats. It is through cat fights when they're outdoors. The nails are just made of keratin. They're very weak in some of these animals, so they will break quite easily. And you don't need a lot of pressure for that to happen. The worst thing is when they partially break and they don't fall off completely, because then that is painful for the animal, and that's when they need to be seen quite urgently by a vet so that we can safely remove that nail and potentially bandage the foot if it needs bandaging because of bleeding from the broken nail as well. You can get infections of paws and of claws as well. That can be from the dog. If you have a dog with an allergy, a skin allergy, they will lick their paws a lot because it's a very accessible place for them to get to, and it's quite comforting for them to do that. So they then introduce the infection to the skin or to the claw because of the licking, and probably because they have bacteria in their mouth, maybe because they have dental disease as well. So they're introducing that infection. You may find swelling of the foot when that happens, or they may just be very sensitive. They may be lame and not even want to weight bear on that foot if it's really infected and really inflamed. There may also be a smell coming from that foot, and that might be the first trigger that you get that something's happened. In the summer, we find a lot of grass seed injuries to the foot. Sometimes they'll present with a little puncture wound where you can see that the grass seed has gone in. That's handy if that happens, but a lot of the time, the owner is unaware that the grass seed has entered the foot, and by the time they become lame on it and uncomfortable, or by the time they come to the vet, the grass seed may have emigrated further up the leg and the swelling may not be on the foot anymore, but that is where you're going to need to go to get that grass seed back out again. The other things that we can get are tumours of the foot, or particularly the claw. In cats, they will have tumours of their toes, of their claws, normally secondary to another tumour that's happening somewhere else in their body. So if you do get a lump on a foot, it's always worth investigating because it may be quite serious. It could just be a foreign body that's gone in there, or an infection. That would be most common for that to happen, but don't hang around and leave those things waiting because it is potentially something quite serious. In summer, when the floor gets very hot, you should never walk your dog or let your cat out on a surface that you yourself cannot put your hand safely down without it being too hot. The pads are very sensitive. They will get hot and they can get burnt, and that can be a very serious condition to then treat. The skin on top of that pad or over the rest of the foot can slough off after burning, and that dog will then become lame and can't use that foot properly. So it's really important that they don't contact really hot surfaces. The opposite to that is very cold surfaces or snow. And if they are outside playing in the snow, they will love it, but most dogs won't realise that they are getting the snow trapped between their claws, especially the really long-haired dogs, German Shepherds, for example, Golden Retrievers, and they get blocks of that snow caught in between the fur, in between their toes. So even once they come inside, it's still acting and causing frostbite to their feet. If you live somewhere or you're having a week where you know there's a lot of snow and your dog does have really hairy feet, you may want to look at clipping out some of that fur so that the snow cannot attach quite so tightly to the foot. That would also be the case in the summer with things like grass seeds, because if you haven't got all that fur then the seeds aren't going to get caught in the fur and then enter the skin and cause those grass seed injuries. If you do find that you have got clumps of snow in your dog's feet, the best thing is to try and remove them gently with some warm compress to try and melt the snow and pull them out. If it's a big block of snow or ice that's quite hard, you may even want to just cut the fur around that and cut the block out with it, because it could take some time to warm them up. And then once you've got that out, you do just want to very slowly warm the feet up. You don't want to go from a very cold to a very hot situation quickly, because the dog's body could then go into shock if it's going from one extreme temperature to the other.